Chris Moneymaker, it's great to have you with us. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to talk with us.
It's great being here. This is the second event I've played with you guys, and look forward to doing it again. Try to fit in some charity as much as possible, especially when, kind of sitting at home and got some free time. And I love these little virtual tournaments that we do. It makes it really.
Well, yeah, we appreciate it. As you just said, we've got a online poker tournament coming up for that benefits the Chicago Lighthouse. And you played with us back in February, and we appreciate you coming out and playing with us again. What is it about charity tournaments that attracts you?
Well, I mean, anytime you can give back and help people, I mean, it's especially like in today's world where it's tough to get together and meet and do fundraising. It's really hard to have ideas to raise money for organizations that really need the help. And poker is a pretty good way to raise that money without having to interact with people and without having to, socially interact, which, we're hopefully getting back to a little bit more normalcy, but it's good to have this version and be able to do this and do it from the home, and help basically raise money for organizations that desperately need it. So, and again, it's something I just enjoy doing on the side, and, it gives me I take up people's money for a living. So to give back is always a nice thing. Poker's a zero-sum game. So if I win, someone's got to lose.
Is there a different atmosphere playing in a charity tournament than a sort of other hardcore kind of tournament?
Oh, for sure. I mean, in a charity tournament, it's all about rebuys. It's all about getting the money in for the charity. We'll do a lot of, putting the money in right away and trying to get as much action as possible. Usually I'm pushing action as much as possible to either rebuy myself or get other people to rebuy. It's definitely not a kill or be killed attitude that you would have in a normal poker tournament. After the rebuys are done, it kind of transforms into that a little bit, becomes a little bit more competitive, and you're trying to win. But at the end of the day, the primary goal is for everybody to have a good time, and also everybody to, raise money for the charity.
And why tournaments in general? I mean, you made a career out of tournament play. What is there about tournaments that attracts you as opposed to cash, for example?
Well, I play both. So, I mean, it's not one that attracts me more than other, but for like a charity event or something like this, tournaments are great because it's obviously it's a one buy-in. You know how much you're investing, you know how much you're going to lose. Or in cash, you can rebuy, you can add more money to the table, where in a tournament, unless you're, wanting to come back in, it's a set dollar amount. You get a lot of play in tournaments. Cash games, a lot of times, if you lose the first hand, you could be done. Where in tournaments, generally you're going to get a lot more play and you're going to get a lot more opportunities to take part, and hopefully it's a better experience overall. And obviously at the end of the day, you can win a lot more money for yourself or for the charity if you win the tournament.
As you know from February, or you probably remember, we also in this Lighthouse tournament have a Zoom connection, so that it's not completely online. It is an online tournament, but you're also able to see and interact with, chat with your table mates. Mm-hmm. Is that social aspect and ability now to see people and stuff? Is that a different experience then for you than online?
I mean, it's obviously a little bit different experience. I mean, the 90% of the time, or 99.9% of the time you're playing online, there's zero social interaction. You might say good hand to somebody or, whatever, but like when you have the Zoom call, which only happens in charity events, I mean, you're never going to have a Zoom call during a online tournament. So this adds just an element of socialism. Socialism, that's probably not the right word for it, of social aspect to, personalization, social aspect to the game. And it's good for the charity because that we're here to support the charity and support each other and have a good time with it. And it's hard to have a good time when you're sitting in a room by yourself and just staring at your computer. So the Zoom call aspect of it does add a lot to be friendly, get to know people, know who you're playing against. It's always nice to know who's on the other side of the screen. And, if you run a big bluff and you can watch them like, and so it's always good.
I imagine it's fairly clear you're a pretty competitive guy, but you come off on the table as pretty relaxed and easygoing. And I'm curious, how easy is it to be both competitive and, at least on the outside, easygoing when you're playing?
Well, I mean, that's obviously it, for a poker player, it's probably the most important, one of the most important skills you can have. In poker, there's a lot of private games. There's a lot of um, games that are hard to get into. And if you don't have social skills, if you're not sort of easygoing and good to be around, fun to be around, you're not going to get invited to these games. If you're just a crusher and don't have a social side to you, then no one wants to play with you. And, you just got to take your ball and go play somewhere else. So to be able to get into those games, you got to have a good social side. And to be honest, I've always approached poker. Like I told you a little bit earlier, in order for me to win, someone's got to lose. Well, I look at every player that I'm playing against as a potential customer, because if they're not there playing, then there's no game. So I want them to have a good experience. And whenever I play, I always feel like I've done my job when someone says, "It was great playing with you," and shakes my hand after I take all their money. And that happens actually quite more than you would imagine. But that's always when I know I've done my job, because they had a good experience. They weren't upset that they lost their money. They battled, and they end up on the losing side. And then if I lose, obviously I lose a ton. I mean, in poker, you're going to lose a ton. I know that when they beat me, people have a story, and, I can't tell you how many stories I've heard, I beat you in this hand, or I knocked you out of this tournament. And, I'm like, no, you didn't. That's lies, all lies. I never lost. But they hit me up, 10 years down the road on social media saying, "Hey, I knocked you out of this tournament," and, um, Tunica or wherever. And it was a good experience for him.
Thank you again for your time. Very, very helpful, and appreciate thoughts and perspectives you have here. It's I look forward to playing with you in a few weeks.
Sounds like a plan. Look forward to taking all your cash and making you rebuy for charity.
Fantastic.
Love it.